Hey guys, it's Halcyon here. Welcome to a new Battlefield 1 guide video. Today I'm going to talk about the Assault class. Now, I've been playing this class a lot recently, and in fact I've surpassed my Medic class score because the Assault is very powerful. And it's also just downright fun to play. But as with the Medic, I feel like a lot of people misuse this class, so I'm here today to share with y'all some tips which will help you in future games. As with the Medic guide, this series will be split up, but only into 2 videos this time, as there simply aren't enough topics to justify 3. In this guide, I'll give a description of the class, some basic tips, and discuss loadout choices. So grab yourself a snack, guys, kick back, and let's jump right into it. The Assault class is your typical infantry killing machine. As an Assault, your job is to do as much damage to the enemy team as possible to allow your team to push forward. The Assault weapons are very powerful in close quarters, especially the very controversial shotgun that everyone loves to complain about. Don't worry, I'll get into that one later. In addition to the powerful infantry killing weapons, the Assault also has anti-vehicle capabilities. 1 or 2 dedicated Assaults can take down just about any vehicle in the game, which you might not know given how rarely people actually make the attempt. And then of course people sit around and complain about how the enemy tanker is sitting at 60 kills and 0 deaths at the end of the game. Anyway, the Assault class is best suited for those with an aggressive playstyle, such as myself. You won't really have much of an impact if you just sit behind your team the whole game, so if you have a more passive playstyle, then please consider switching to another class. Now, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. A good team will always have a balance of both types of players. It's just that, as an Assault, you need to be willing to put yourself at risk for the potential of a huge payoff. Just keep in mind that there's a fine line between risk-taking and stupidity. Your greatest allies as an Assault are distraction and concealment. You need to stay hidden in order to get up close to the enemy, which is where you're most effective. Now, once you're there, it's GG, especially if they're distracted by your teammates. Sadly, however, I see a lot of Assaults rushing headfirst into a fight and dying after only a kill or 2, if they're lucky. Throwing bodies at the enemy for the sake of a couple kills does nothing in a game where you can respawn after 10 or 15 seconds. You need to play smart, you need to flank, and you need to know how to stay hidden until the last possible second. Now, don't worry, I'll go into a lot more depth about these topics in the next video. The Assault has a variety of primary weapons. Most of them are only effective at close range, although a few can be used at medium range if controlled properly. First off, you need to choose whether you're going to go the shotgun route or the SMG route. Your choice here will depend on the map, the situation, and personal preference. Generally speaking, shotguns have the advantage of being a one-shot kill at close range. The Model 10A Hunter in particular is the subject of much controversy because it's considered to be overpowered, thanks to having a longer insta-kill range than the other shotguns. Personally, I think it's just fine. Shotguns are very situational as it is, and they're really only effective on close-quarter combat-oriented maps like Argonne Forest and Amiens to a lesser extent. That said, the real problem with the Model 10A is that it makes every other shotgun look like a joke in comparison. Now, the SMGs are where it's really at. The MP18 is the starter one, and it's a pretty good weapon. The optical variant is the best in my opinion because it has decent accuracy at medium range, especially once you learn to control the recoil. Since the weapon has a magazine size of 32, you're able to take down multiple enemies before having to reload. The experimental variant fires a 3-round burst, but has significantly more spread while moving. Honestly, you might as well just use the optical variant and learn to burst fire yourself. The trench variant, of course, is meant for hip firing and close-quarter combat situations. My favorite Assault weapon is the Automatico M1918, specifically the trench variant because of the awesome hip fire. This weapon is a beast. With a rate of fire of 900 rounds per minute, it has the lowest time to kill of all infantry weapons in the game. Not including the insta-kill shotguns and sniper rifles, of course. Even at medium range, this gun can do some real damage. Of course, this assumes that your bullets actually land on the target, but once you learn to burst fire and control the recoil of this weapon, that becomes less of a factor. Finally, there's the level 10 SMG, the Hellriegel. Unlike the level 10 medic rifle, this weapon is actually very good, and definitely worth grinding to level 10 to get. It's good at close and medium range, and it has a 60-round magazine, although you only get 2 of them, so unless there's supports dropping ammo around, you have to make your shots count. One thing to note with this weapon is that continuously firing will cause it to overheat, so either learn to space out your shots or get caught with your pants down. While the Automatico is still my favorite, I switch to this one on occasion for the more open maps. Unlike with the medic's choice of secondaries, I've put a little more thought into which one I choose for the assault, mostly because it's very easy to run out of ammo with the Automatico, or to be caught in a situation where you don't have time to reload, so it's important to take the best secondary possible. The default M1911 is fine for most situations, although I've recently been using the 1903 hammerless quite a bit. It has slightly less damage than the M1911, but the fire rate is much faster, and it has excellent recoil and spread, making it better at close and medium range, both aiming down the sights and hip firing. To top it all off, you get 1 extra round in the magazine. Hooray! This is definitely the best secondary you can take for the assault. As with the medic class, your choice of melee weapon is really not that important. Again, I take the shovel because I think it's funny, and it does a lot of damage. And it can be fun to fire a quick burst at someone with the Automatico and finish them off with a melee attack. Play around a bit here and pick whichever one you like best. The Assault class only has 4 gadgets to choose from. You've got anti-tank mines, Dynamite, the rocket gun, and anti-tank grenades. All of them are, of course, centered around taking down vehicles, although they can be used pretty effectively against infantry, with the exception of the AT mines, I suppose. The mines are best used for taking down the armored train behemoth. They do a ton of damage to it, and there's no real way to avoid them, unless someone gets smart and destroys them, which rarely happens. As of the recent patch, you're able to have 6 out at once, before the oldest ones start disappearing. They can also be pretty good against normal vehicles, like tanks, if you're able to find good spots to conceal them, like inside of a bush or a crater, but if they're out in the open, usually tank drivers or infantry will spot them and destroy them before they have a chance to do any damage. One good strategy is getting behind an enemy vehicle that's backing up, predicting its path and placing some mines there. Usually drivers won't be looking backwards for mines, so you might be able to take them off guard. You could also go the PlanetSide 2 route, I suppose, and run right up to the vehicle, then shoot the mines to destroy it, but this is usually too risky to even attempt, and honestly you might as well be using Dynamite and AT grenades if you're going to get that close. Speaking of which, Dynamite is pretty good against vehicles if you're able to get up close. It can also be used to break down those bunker doors that can be locked, to protect the choke point against enemy infantry, or to destroy structures that are being used as cover. If you got a group of enemies on the other side of a wall, throw a couple dynamite on your side and give them an explosive surprise, or at the very least, make your team a new entrance. Anti-tank grenades are my favorite loadout choice. You get 2 of these bad boys to start with, so you can essentially have 3 or 4 grenades in total. You don't have to be nearly as close as with dynamite in order to damage vehicles, although it takes some skill if the vehicles are moving. They'll instantly explode if you get a direct hit on the vehicle, otherwise they'll explode after a few seconds. Despite being anti-tank grenades, they're also pretty good against infantry. If you take the frag grenade along with them, you can throw up to 3 grenades into an area to clear out anyone who's there before moving in. Finally, there's the rocket gun. This is my favorite loadout choice of the assault. You have to either go prone or find some object to set up the tripod on in order to use it, but with some practice and skill, you can destroy and harass vehicles from a very long range. You can even do some decent splash damage to infantry, and it's an insta-kill if you manage to get a direct hit. It's also very good at destroying walls and structures that enemies are using as cover, and damaging people behind them at the same time. Some of the more hilarious uses I found are insta-killing cavalry who are charging at you, and blowing up enemies through the floor. As for the grenades, the choice is really up to you. Frag grenades are best against groups of infantry. Impact grenades can be nice for finishing off infantry that you've damaged, but who have fled behind cover. Incendiary grenades do tick damage against enemy vehicles and prevent them from repairing. Play around a bit with them, and you'll get a feel for which situations call for which grenades. By the way, I have 3 preset loadouts which I use for various situations, and I encourage you to create your own, or use the ones that I do. It'll save you time in the long run. The loadout I use most often is the one that's best against infantry. It consists of the Automatico trench, AT rocket and grenades, and the Frag or stick grenade. I also have a loadout specifically for those situations where a tank driver is sitting at 40 and 0, and it's time to take that bastard out. This one consists of the rocket gun, AT grenade, and light AT grenade. Finally, I have a loadout specifically for taking down the train. AT mines, which I lay on the tracks, dynamite, smoke grenades to help getting close, and the shotgun to insta-kill anyone who might try to hop out and kill me. And that concludes my Battlefield 1 Novice Assault Guide. In the Advanced Guide, I'm going to go into more depth about vehicle hunting, which is a skill that I feel like the assault community needs to learn the most at the moment. I'll also go into more depth about flanking and proper concealment, and finish it off with some more combat tips that I didn't cover in the Medic Guide. I hope you found this video useful and entertaining. If so, you can subscribe to my channel for more like it. Thanks for watching, guys. Halcyon out.